We've got a lot to talk about.
Wendy Williams was diagnosed with aphasia and frontotemporal dementia in May of last year.
He was last seen in public at a holistic store back in August, taking a photo with a fan in New Jersey.
According to a new report, Wendy Williams does not have frontotemporal dementia.
Being in the guardianship means you can't make your own decisions.
I'm still trying to manage this mess, okay?
Heartbreaking news. Wendy Williams is being described as permanently incapacitated due to her battle with dementia and aphasia.
She looked skinny, like she needs a break, you know. I think she looks like she needs a break.
Heartbreaking news today about former talk show host Wendy Williams. New court documents filed by her legal guardian say she is now permanently incapacitated by her ongoing health battles.
It looks like Wendy is finally breaking out of that messy guardianship, and the truth behind it is straight up wild. New test results from a top neurologist in New York showed she was intentionally misdiagnosed with conditions she never even had. And get this, the same court-appointed team that was supposed to protect her is the crew people are accusing of being behind the whole setup. This is foul on a whole new level.
She got fired from Hot 97 because she had a picture of Puffy. So if you don't mind, give me the story from your point of view, and what was in the picture?
We were in Cancun. For whatever reason, dude was playing with Puff. He went behind him and grabbed his trunks and pulled them down. Some girls that was taking pictures. They took that picture and emailed it back to Wendy Williams. Wendy Williams said she had him in a compromising position and like it was gay, something like that. She was gonna put it out. Wendy had shown people that email. Puff told Hot 97 if they didn't get rid of her before he got back in New York, that they was not gonna get any music from any of his friends, any of the record labels executives that was cool with him. Everybody was gonna boycott their station. We was out in LA for about 3 days before we landed back in New York.
Wendy has been yelling for months that she wasn't crazy, and people just brushed her off like she was talking to a wall. She begged everyone to listen to her, but nobody moved until now. Even Nicki Minaj tried to sound the alarm and tell folks what was being done to Wendy, but she got ignored too. Nicki only spoke up because she said she could be next in line to get slapped with a fake diagnosis and shoved into a conservatorship, which is scary to even think about.
I'm from a very homosexual era of hip hop as well. There was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendy Williams, and she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such. And now it's all come full circle. There were many situations, none of which to talk about, but there were many situations back in the day in my career, and it's all coming full circle now. So.
But just like always, most people acted like she was being dramatic and kept it pushing, until now, when everything is blowing up in the open. This whole situation erupted a couple days ago when TMZ reported that Wendy went through a full set of neurological exams with a major specialist. And he confirmed she never had the condition that kept her locked in that guardianship for years. That's when the streets really started talking. Think about it. They tossed this woman into multiple mental health facilities, shut down her TV show, kept her away from her family, and pumped her full of meds, all because of an illness she didn't even have. How is that not unbelievable? And according to Wendy, none of this was some harmless oops moment. She's saying this was planned, targeted, and straight up wicked. Wendy is making it clear that none of this was some random slip-up. She's saying it was a planned move from the jump. According to her, Wells Fargo wasn't trying to protect her. They were trying to lock down her money so they could control every dollar without her having a say. They were the ones who marched into court claiming she couldn't handle her finances and needed a guardian because she was supposedly at risk. That's when those heavy diagnoses got slapped on her. Frontotemporal dementia and aphasia. And after that, everything spiraled into a straight-up nightmare. But here's where it gets even messier. Before her court-appointed guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, stepped in, reports said Wendy was actually doing better. She was showing signs of improvement, she was communicating clearly, and people close to her were hopeful. So how did she magically go from getting better to being labeled with multiple severe illnesses overnight? The timing is way too convenient, and everybody can see that something feels off. Even Wendy's son, Kevin Jr., had enough and decided to speak up. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He jumped into a shade room comment section and called out the contradictions. He said Wendy's doctor told them her health struggles were supposed to be alcohol-related. yet her team kept letting her drink like it was normal. How do you say someone is too sick to handle life, but then you hand them the very thing you claim is harming them? It makes no sense at all. And what makes it worse is that they cut her family off completely. No visits, no updates, no communication, nothing. Her own family didn't know where she was staying or what kind of treatment she was being given. They were left in the dark while strangers had total control over Wendy's life. That's not care, that's isolation. Wendy kept fighting too. She didn't just sit quietly, and she got multiple independent evaluations done by outside professionals. These specialists came back saying she didn't have the illnesses she was being labeled with. But the people in charge still kept insisting she did. They pushed the same story over and over, even when the medical facts didn't match up. That's wild. And here's the part that really exposes everything. According to experts, people with real frontotemporal dementia don't suddenly improve. There's no miracle comeback. They progressively decline. But Wendy was having good days, clear conversations, coherent interviews, and moments where she sounded stronger than ever. How could she be getting worse on paper but better in real life? Something in this situation isn't just suspicious. It looks like someone was controlling the narrative on purpose. This whole situation feels like a setup that got out of hand, and now the truth is starting to leak through the cracks. But even with everything stacked against her, Wendy has been showing some shocking neurological strength ever since she got clean and sober 3 years ago. Her mind cleared up, her speech improved, and people started noticing she wasn't acting anything like the person they tried to paint her as. That alone had folks raising eyebrows. Now TMZ is saying her legal team is gearing up to file major paperwork within the next 2 weeks, setting the stage for a court hearing where they'll push the judge to finally end this guardianship once and for all. And if the judge refuses to budge, her powerhouse lawyer, Joe Tacopina, is ready to turn the whole thing into a jury trial and let regular citizens decide if Wendy should walk free. That's a big move. When Wendy first got pulled into this guardianship mess, everybody had one name at the top of the suspect list: Diddy. Their history goes way back, and anyone who's been paying attention knows Diddy and Wendy have had tension for years.
Out of the club so fast and got into the waiting SUV that it wasn't until he got into the truck that he realized that he left Jennifer behind, along with his bodyguard, Anthony Wolf. He just like ran. You know, forget it. That's a true sign of an itch bag, by the way. Leaving his
I thought it was an unpay.
Well, eventually, Jennifer and Wolf made their way to the SUV without Puffy.
Right.
They ran 11 lights to elude the cops. Supposedly it was Puffy, although people are saying they saw a female hand tossing a the window. And then when the cops stopped them, they found a second gun, of course, in the car.
Right.
All 4 of the occupants, the driver, the bodyguard, Puffy and Jennifer, were handcuffed and taken down to the precinct. And eventually, Puffy and his bodyguard, Wolf, were overheard talking about their plot to bribe the driver to take the rap for the. And Puffy was overheard saying, and I quote, because the prosecutor said this, "I can't go to jail, I'm Puff Daddy."
He was arrested with a deadly weapon. And
he wants Cassie back. Oh, it's been all over social media. Puffy posted a picture of Michael Jackson's song, Lady in My Life, and wrote, "If anyone sees Cassie this weekend, please tell her to listen to this song 100 times. I suggest don't use social media, though, to reach out. I think this is a grand overture from Puffy. I don't believe he really wants her back. I believe he probably treated her at some particular point like a possession, like a possession. And if you really care, then you'd reach out privately, not publicly."
Bad blood for a while.
Real bad.
Real bad blood.
The worst blood.
The worst blood. You almost wanted to run you out of New York at one point, right? Well, not run, like push you out of New York at one point. He had you ran out. You give him full credit for that? Okay, cool. He had you ran out of New York.
The mother of a now 16-year-old.
Who I met backstage.
He did?
He's a great young man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You represent a.
Wendy accused him of trying to tear her down long before this guardianship even started, so people weren't shocked when his name came up. She once claimed she was emailed some photos of him during a vacation in Mexico, and in those photos, another man was allegedly performing something intimate on him. And she said it plain, no hesitation. That accusation rattled the internet back then. And let's not forget another wild chapter in their history. The time 19-year-old Shine ended up taking the fall after that club situation involving Diddy. People still talk about that moment like it just happened because it changed so much in the industry. All these old events had the streets convinced Diddy might have had a hand somewhere in Wendy's downfall, whether directly or through influence. This whole situation is messy from top to bottom. Wendy was actually one of the very first people to say that the whole situation involving Diddy needed a real investigation because the details were never adding up. She straight up said the circumstances felt off, and she wasn't afraid to point fingers when she felt like something wasn't lining up. She even questioned Diddy and J-Lo's involvement back when everyone else was scared to open their mouth. Wendy said the story they gave the public didn't feel complete, and she pushed for people to look closer, long before anyone else dared to. And she didn't stop there. Wendy was one of the only voices brave enough to publicly call out the strange energy between Diddy and Cassie years before Cassie ever left him. She basically saw the storm forming before anyone realized what was going on. People brushed her off at the time, saying she was too dramatic. But when everything eventually came out, a lot of folks had to admit Wendy wasn't lying. She was early. But things got even more disturbing when Diddy came onto her show for an interview. Instead of keeping it professional, he suddenly brought up her son, a teenager at the time, completely out of nowhere. The energy shifted instantly. Wendy's whole expression changed because she could feel that he didn't mention her son casually. People watching said it felt like he was sending her a message without saying it directly, like he wanted her to remember he had reached. A lot of viewers believe he did that to warn her to back off before she exposed something he didn't want out there. And now, enter Nicki Minaj. Say what you want about her personality, but lying is not one of her reps. People are finally starting to connect the dots and realize Nicki might have been telling the truth the whole time. Because at first, everyone assumed Diddy was the only person who could have influenced Wendy's downfall, since he and Wendy had a long, messy history full of tension. But Nicki came through and shook everything up. Nicki recently claimed that Diddy wasn't the only one with his hands in this situation. She said Jay-Z and Roc Nation had their own involvement in Wendy's problems, and that they're now trying to run that same play on her. That claim caught everyone off guard because people weren't expecting her to name names that big. Just a few days ago, Nicki got into a heated back and forth with Charlemagne after he interviewed Gucci Mane and Keisha Kahwa. Nicki snapped back online and accused Roc Nation of using Charlemagne as a mouthpiece to push their agenda. She said, Charlemagne the fraud is Jay-Z's friend and business associate using iHeartRadio for these disgusting ploys against innocent families, which had the whole internet in shock. Nicki basically said Roc Nation wasn't just tied up in Wendy's situation. They were allegedly trying to move the same way against her. According to Nicki, these weren't isolated events. This was a pattern. And the more people listen to her, the more they're realizing the accusations might not be as far-fetched as they once thought. This entire storyline is getting deeper and darker by the day, and everybody is finally waking up to how connected all these pieces really are. He was around Wendy right before her whole life flipped upside down, and people haven't forgotten that. Someone even posted, "The buck stops here, baby," and bookmarked the tweet like they knew this moment was coming. Then Tasha K jumped into the convo and added even more heat to what Nicki was saying. She claimed Roc Nation has allegedly been plotting to push Nicki into a guardianship, just like Wendy. And that shook everybody up.
Not something that is like a conspiracy theory. This actually happens. But if they're able to separate Nicki and Kenny, that makes Nicki vulnerable because your husband is your power of attorney. Your husband is your signator on all of your accounts in the event anything goes wrong. Michael wasn't married. Britney Spears was married, but of course they control all of that. And so the mere fact that all these narratives are out about Kenny stealing this to buy chains and buy that, that's not what it is. It's like, you know, they got doctors that are giving out these diagnoses saying that she's schizophrenic and bipolar and all of this stuff. And then Kenny's now here. You know, she trusts Kenny. Of course, they've known each other since they were kids. Their families know each other. And so Kenny is just in the way. And so what do? You create narratives to try to separate, because if you separate, then you can divide and conquer. And so that's what it's about. You know, she's going into her latter years and, you know, there's a lot of money on the line and she's worth a lot, but Kenny is in the way. And so Yeah, I mean, look at what they're doing to Wendy Williams. Had Wendy would have still been with Kelvin, they wouldn't have been able to put her under a conservatorship because she has a husband. So, and like I said, there was only one that was accused of stealing. We're gonna leave it at that. Okay.
According to Tasha, the only reason that plan hasn't worked is because Nicki is married to Kenneth Petty. Since Ken is her husband, if they somehow got doctors to label her with fake mental health issues, her money would automatically go straight to him, not to whatever team tried to control her. That means any attempt to take over her finances would basically hit a wall. And when you look at all the celebrities who got shoved into conservatorships, the pattern is clear. None of them were married. Britney wasn't married when her situation happened, and Wendy was already divorced by the time Wells Fargo moved in and gave her a guardian. If either of them had a spouse, it would have been way harder to strip away their rights. And then Tasha cleared the air with a fiery line saying, "You're gonna stop twisting my words. Nicki Minaj ain't got no schizophrenia." She wasn't letting anyone spin her message the wrong way. She broke it down even further, bringing up how they tried to 5150 Kanye just because he was bipolar, which is a mood condition, and then turned around and tried to seize his assets just for speaking his mind. That situation was wild enough on its own. Meanwhile, Wendy Williams is stuck in a luxury hospital suite while her lawyers burn through her money. Michael Jackson is gone, and Britney Spears literally had to leave the US for a minute just to feel some peace. This whole guardianship game is looking more twisted by the day. After years stuck inside that conservatorship, people are finally waking up and seeing the bigger picture. This wasn't just some random mistake. This was a whole system move designed to make Wendy look like she couldn't handle her own life or her own money. Folks kept asking what the issue was, but the truth is loud now. This is an industry tactic, and it's been happening to multiple artists for years. And one thing is clear: Kenny, Nicki's husband, is standing in the way of them trying that same play on her. People are even pointing out that all this drama around Nicki started right after she tweeted her opinion about the COVID vaccine. From that moment, everything around her shifted, and a lot of fans believe the industry didn't like her speaking up. Now the streets are saying these misdiagnosis reports about Wendy aren't some random coincidence like they want us to believe. Allegedly, Wendy had to be placed under that guardianship while Diddy's trial was going on, so she couldn't testify in court about anything she experienced dealing with him. But now that his trial is wrapped up and the threat is gone, suddenly it's safe for her to get out? That timing is way too perfect. And honestly, this storyline lines up with everything we've seen so far. Wendy did multiple independent medical tests to prove she wasn't sick. Real neurologists ran real evaluations, and nobody wanted to take any of them seriously. But the second Diddy's trial ended, another test came in, and now suddenly the court is paying attention? That shift is not a coincidence. And look at what's happening right now. Nicki Minaj is suddenly being labeled crazy, right when rumors start flying that Jay-Z might be under the microscope next, after Diddy. The pattern is too obvious. These people are acting like the public can't connect dots, but the mask is slipping and it's getting harder and harder to ignore what's really going on. People online had a lot to say too. One person even said Wendy's family should sue the doctor who diagnosed her with dementia in the first place. This situation is shaking everybody up. People online were going off about this situation, and they weren't holding a single thing back. One person said that misdiagnosis didn't just mess up Wendy's career. It kicked off a whole chain reaction that destroyed major parts of her life. They said that fake diagnosis is what opened the door for every bad thing that followed. And honestly, they're not wrong. Another person came through with even more details that had everyone shocked. They said Wendy's condo was sold without her having a say. Her beloved pet was given away like it meant nothing, and thousands of dollars worth of her clothes, furniture, sentimental items, and personal belongings were tossed out or taken like she didn't matter. People were furious because it felt like they stripped her entire identity piece by piece. They also pointed out that Wendy had admitted herself to rehab before for substance use, which means she was fighting to get healthy on her own terms. And instead of supporting that, the people around her used it as a reason to take control of everything. The streets were loud, saying this whole mess was never about helping her. It was about ownership. The message in the comments was clear: free Wendy and free her fast. But now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Wendy finally getting out of this guardianship is her chance to take her life back and stand on her own again? And do you think Nicki Minaj is really next in line for this kind of setup? Or do you feel like people are reaching? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below because this conversation is getting heavier by the minute. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next video. Trust me, it's about to get even